If you ask most people what their number one fear is, what do you think it is? Most people's number one fear is public humiliation. I don't give a fuck anymore. And now, it's just time for me to say, I'm tough. Because what does not kill you makes you strong.
Fear. For a long time, fear held me back. This channel should have been launched about 5 years ago when I first started to want to create content. But why wasn't it? Fear. Fear of the opinions of others. Of humiliation. I put so much weight into the thoughts and opinions of everyone else that I let it hold me back. But now I'm done. I'm going to do what I want to do. You should probably do the same. We moved around a fair bit growing up. Eventually we moved out into a small town in the middle of nowhere, even small by Australian standards. We're talking less than 1,000 people. And my little artsy self was shit out of luck. There was, however, a dance studio. And I don't know if it was my mum showing me tap dogs or Happy Feet not long coming out. I really wanted to learn to tap dance. I thought it was the shit. So, mum took me down to dance classes, rolled me, and I was the only boy in the class. And I loved it. Then, the opinions of all my peers started to come in on me.
Dance is for girls, it's for girls, it's for girls.
And again, I believed them. I quit dancing. Now, I don't blame that 6-year-old kid for trying to fit in, but I do wish that I didn't have 2 left feet now. Why do we do it to ourselves? Why do we let the weight of other people's words weigh so heavy on us that we can't just do what we want to do? It's because we're human. In fact, there'd probably be something wrong with you if you didn't care what other people think. We as a species thrived and survived by working together, coming together in small groups. We have an innate desire to be a part of the in-group, or at very least not be a part of the out-group. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, your psychological needs are directly linked to the acceptance of others. You could even argue that their physiological needs of safety and security are also dependent on the acceptance of others, or at least not being treated outwardly hostile by others. Our environment may have changed and it's now completely possible to live a life of solitude. You could literally live the rest of your life and not have to deal with another person, which is wild. Our environment may have changed, our hardware and software just hasn't. Modern society has also played a key role in the furthering of this need to be accepted. Across cultures, status and hierarchy are integral parts of society. We all play these status games. The nicer car, the bigger house, the more prestigious job. I would argue we chase these things just for the acceptance and approval of others. We seek that validation. You might have heard of the Greek philosopher Diogenes. He's the founder of cynicism, among other things, and an altogether fascinating human being. See, he was a learned man, but he chose to live in rags in a barrel in the middle of Athens. He was a brilliant mind, but lived like a fenthead, shitting and pissing in the streets, which even in ancient Greece was considered uncouth. Legend has it that Alexander the Great was fascinated by Diogenes. He went to visit him one day in the middle of Athens. He asked Diogenes, was there anything he could do for him? Keep in mind that Alexander the Great at this time was the most powerful person in the known world. And Diogenes responded, you can move, you're blocking my sunlight. Diogenes seemingly didn't give a fuck about what anyone had to think of him, even the most powerful emperor at the time. Alexander the Great is quoted as saying, truly, if I wasn't Alexander, I wish to be Diogenes. I'm not saying we should all be like Diogenes and live in a barrel of our own excrement, but a little bit of that fuck it attitude could be useful. So how do we get it? How do we care less what other people think? The answer is, you don't. You don't care less what other people think. You care more. Let me explain. Let's say this is how much you care about the opinions of others. That's a lot, right? What happens if we start to care what we think? What happens if we start to care that we won't reach our potential? What happens when we care that one day we will die and none of this will matter? No one's going to remember you even happened in the first place. Sounds nihilistic, but it's true. The Latin phrase memento mori, you might have heard of it, means remember to die. In a modern sense, I guess it means remember you will die. And you will. It's inevitable. No one's ever been able to cheat it. And you should care about that a hell of a lot more than what other people think. Don't get me wrong, the opinions of others aren't always wrong or come from a bad place. Sometimes people have even the best intentions for you. But if it comes at the expense of doing what you want to do, I think that's the best option. When I was growing up, I always loved motorcycles. I wanted desperately to have one, but my parents always said they were too dangerous. So I bought a motorcycle. Not to spite my parents, even though I'm sure they're not totally stoked about it, but because it was something that I wanted to do. I'm done caring about what anyone else thinks. To the best of my ability, it's still a work in progress. Done trying to fit in or be who someone else wants me to be. I've tried. Gets you nowhere. Memento mori. One day you will die. So you may as well start living.